No, no. Push the objective.
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
Hey, have you ever lost a multiplayer match? Statistically, probably yes. That's rough, buddy. Take heart though, because you're a failure. You're a complete and utter failure. I mean, what were you even doing out there? It's all good though. Your screw-up was all part of the plan. Multiplayer games are some of the hardest possible games to design. That's why most of them fail. Forget about balancing or level design or readability or any of these many things that are incredibly important for a multiplayer game to work. And think about these two fundamental truths. Truth 1. Everybody wants to win. Oh sure, you'll get the occasional odd duck who tanks a match for their own amusement. But in that case, your frustration is their victory. Aside from that, nobody begins a match with the desire to lose. Truth 2. Everybody can't win. If your game has any element of competition at all, then somebody has to lose. That's just an absolute certainty. If you create a competitive game where everyone wins, then you have not created a competitive game. Every single match of a multiplayer game is going to cause typically half of the participants to feel negative emotions. Maybe sadness, maybe frustration, maybe anger. But that's okay. Anybody who plays a competitive game goes in with the expectation that they are risking those emotions. The problems begin when a player starts to experience too many of these negative emotions. A losing streak. Negative emotions pile up. I think most of us have been there. Loss after loss after loss. The frustration starts making you do worse, so you lose even more. Tilting, as they call it. Eventually, a person reaches a breaking point when they're going to yell one of two things. I suck. Or, this game sucks. Either way, they're very likely to stop playing the game. Maybe for good. And it's every designer's goal to make sure that doesn't happen. For as much as it's an art form, game design is also a science, a strange combination of mathematics and psychology. It is the science of manipulating human behaviour and emotions with numbers. Manipulating behaviour, or as it's more commonly called, operant conditioning, is the backbone of game design. I press the A button, Mario jumps. I jump into the blocks, I get a power-up. I shoot the enemy, I get a point. I get shot by the enemy, I lose a point. So on and so forth. You can break down any game into these cause and effect statements, and getting a player to do these things instinctively is operant conditioning. Manipulating emotion is a bit more complicated. We normally think about this in terms of story. You get sad when a character dies, you're happy with the big kiss, etc. But emotion is absolutely essential to the minute-to-minute experience of a video game, especially multiplayer games. The goal is usually to make sure that a person is having fun, but fun isn't really an emotion on its own as much as it's a big hodgepodge of different emotions all working together to ideally create an overall positive experience. Here's a strange quirk of psychology. Having a losing streak where you're getting absolutely stomped by the other player can have the same impact as a winning streak where you absolutely stomp your opponent. Which is to say, in either case, you'll eventually stop playing the game. Why? It's because positive emotions and negative emotions work differently. Negative emotions stack on top of each other, while positive emotions, especially from predictable outcomes, have diminishing returns. If you have ice cream one day, that's awesome. If you have ice cream the next day, that's still awesome. If you have ice cream every day for the next 5 weeks, then it stops being awesome and starts to become normal and routine. Ice cream every day for 10 months and you're going to get real sick of ice cream, even though ice cream is awesome. Win a match? Awesome. 5 matches? Still awesome. 20 matches? 100? 1,000? When victory feels like a foregone conclusion, it loses its impact. And once victory is no longer exciting, a player loses interest in playing the game, all the same as when they feel like victory is impossible. After all, the reason we play competitive games is for the challenge, otherwise we'd stick to cozy games. The problem is human emotion. If people were robots, you could tell them to play games forever and they would do so unthinkingly and unaffected by the outcomes of the matches. But people are not robots, and designers need to work around that. So, what causes win streak and loss streaks? Player skill. We're not talking about gambling here, where it's mostly down to luck. Competitive games are about skill. It is entirely possible for one player to just be better than another player. If you put me and my friends up against the professional esports team, then we would lose every single match, no matter how much pluck we brought with us. The answer to this problem was discovered before video games were, because this problem is innate to all games of skill, not just video games. In the 1950s, physicist and chess grandmaster Arpad Elo developed a ranking system for professional chess players that measured their overall skill level. This is going to be a vast oversimplification of a complicated mathematical formula. I'm sorry, mathematicians, I'm on a deadline here. In the ELO system, whenever you win a match, you gain points, and every time you lose a match, you lose points. The more points you have, the higher your points are, and therefore the higher your skill level is. Players will always match against other players who have a similar amount of points. If a player keeps winning against people in their range, then they'll move out of that range. But eventually everyone should reach a plateau, because if two players have the same ELO rating, then they should each win 50% of the time, because they are perfectly matched. At that point, you will not move up or down the rating, you will maintain at your skill level. This system is not just about creating a hierarchy of chess players, it's about assuring that everyone at every level of the game is having fun. In a match between a grandmaster and a complete newbie, neither party is likely to be having fun during that match. The newbie wants a game where they have a chance, and the grandmaster wants a game where they have a challenge. The actual win or loss is not as important as the emotions behind that win or loss. A player will only keep playing after a loss if they feel like victory is possible, and vice versa. A player will only keep playing after a win if they feel like that victory isn't a given. ELO is designed to maximise the enjoyment of everyone involved, which is why almost every online multiplayer game for the past 25 years has used ELO or an adjacent system. The systems of modern games are much more complicated than ELO's original formula, but the fundamental logic is still the same, matching up players of equal skill level as best as possible. Today, it's usually called skill-based matchmaking, and if it's all working well, it's something that you shouldn't ever really notice. I've always thought it was a bit weird that most multiplayer games show you your win-loss ratio, because if the system is working correctly, that number should always be between 40 to 60%. Even if you're a pro. A player with a 90% win rate would not be a sign of their immense skill, it would be a sign that the system isn't working properly. That being said, ELO is not a perfect system. No skill-based matchmaking system is perfect because anything that deals with probabilities cannot be perfect. After all, I said that every game for the past 25 years has used some sort of skill-based matchmaking system, and yet you've probably experienced a lost streak once or twice in your time, right? Why is that? Because of probability. If you are 50% likely to win a match and you play 10 matches, then it is entirely possible that you will win all 10 of those matches. If you flip a coin 10 times in a row, then it's entirely possible that it will land in heads all 10 times. This fluke of successive victories will then increase your ELO score to higher than you actually are, putting you into a higher skill bracket where your probability of victory then drastically decreases, resulting in a loss streak. Or the opposite can happen. You can have a fluke of losses in a row, which will put you into a lower bracket, which will then result in a series of victories to get you back up to your level again. This adjustment curve is built into the system, but it can feel very unsatisfying should you find yourself stuck in that adjustment period. There's a really interesting example of this in Marvel Rivals. It's been pretty well documented online at this point that if you're on a losing streak in Marvel Rivals, then the game will put you in a match against bots instead of players. They've never confirmed this as far as I know, but I've played the game enough to know that it's 100% true, because you can instantly feel it. Bots, no matter how hard they try, just don't play the game like actual humans do. And you go from 5 matches where you're getting stomped to a match where you're suddenly able to pull off crazy multi-kills like you actually are Clint Barton. If I had to guess why the game does this, I can think of 2 things. One is to let a player vent some of those built-up negative emotions. Give them a win, make them feel a little more okay about themselves by giving them some robots to beat up. But my other guess is that this is the game detecting that you've been moved to the wrong skill bracket and temporarily resetting you to figure out where you should actually be. The reason this annoys players is that it exposes the artificiality of the whole system. ELO is supposed to be invisible, but this bot match catch system makes the whole thing pretty obvious, like rubber banding in Mario Kart. People want to feel like they're just playing the game, not like they're being babysat by a sorting system. Of course, if they're not being babysat by a sorting system, if you actually do matchmaking without skill tracking, everyone feels much worse. Any game that does it that way pretty much instantly biases to the most skilled players to the exception of everyone else. There is a certain kind of gamer bro online who really chafes against Elu. You've met this guy before, the guy who just wants to log in and pawn some noobs. They don't want to put in effort and face a challenge, they want to shoot womp rats. These guys are always the loudest complainers against skill-based matchmaking because skill-based matchmaking exists to protect the noobs from the hunters. Because these guys are assholes. They never seem to understand that while pawning noobs can be fun, it's not a sustainable experience because nobody enjoys being the womp rat. So when the womp rats scatter, the hunters also leave, and then the game is dead. Elu is not the problem. Their attitude is the problem. To enjoy online matchmaking is just to ride the waves, to embrace Elu. To see defeat not as a failure, but as a part of this incredibly wonderfully complex mathematical system. To not live in the end screen, but in the minute-to-minute struggle to get to see that end screen. Because win or lose, you're always a winner, as long as you're having fun.
Are you winning, son?
Yes, Dad. Yes, I am.
Another epic victory! Big win!
Thank you for watching, and a very special thank you to my wonderful patrons for your continued support. If you'd like to see your name up here, or just support the things that I do, then please consider signing up. It would mean a lot to me. As well as a like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring the bell. This video was made as a part of the annual Essay Library Video Jam, where we each had 40 hours to make a video around the theme of win or lose. As you've now seen, I am a very literal person, but if you want to see what some of my incredible colleagues have come up with this theme, then you can find all of those videos in this playlist up here. Or if you want to stick around here for a while, then here's a video about Marvel's Midnight Suns.